There is an intense standoff between troops of India and China at the line of actual control. First, it was in North Sikkim and then in eastern Ladakh. The troops are staring the dragon down. That face-off continues. Of course, what we are being told is that the Chinese troops are on their side of the LAC at this point of time. The army chief has spoken exclusively to India Today, and this is an India Today exclusive that we get you on the broadcast. General Naravane, the chief of the army staff, he's talked about difference in perception at the line of actual control. Speaking exclusively to India Today, he says this is a situation that does emerge at times at the LAC, and there is an established mechanism based on which both sides will stand down and resolve the issue amicably. I'm Gaurav Sawant. Action-packed 30 minutes. We will get you much more on this big story. Also, news coming in. The United States is mounting pressure on China. First to come clean on COVID-19. And now there is an allegation that China is trying to steal details about COVID-19 vaccines. We'll get you that story. But first, as always, our top focus story on the broadcast. The United States has hit out at China. The Federal Bureau of Investigation in the United States of America is investigating alleged cyber espionage. From information that's now coming in, it seems that China, first, it needs to come clean on the spread of COVID-19 across the world, and two, now there are apprehensions that China is trying to steal information when it comes to COVID-19 vaccines in the United States of America. I quickly want to cut across to India Today's Shiv Arur, who joins us for more on the story. And Shiv, this is yet another damning allegation against China, where the US suspects China is trying to steal information on COVID-19 cure.
This is a huge escalation, Gaurav. Remember, the last big development from the United States is both Trump state explicitly saying that the virus came from a lab, but this takes things completely to the next level. As you rightly pointed out, intelligence agencies in the United States are expected to very shortly provide actionable information in terms of data, in terms of actual records of cyber attacks from China, about the possibility that China may be surgically cyber attacking in the United States in an effort to steal, research material concerned with the research for a vaccine, for COVID-19. Now, this is a huge story, Gaurav, as you probably know, because the vaccine hunt has become a global race. There are obviously huge profits to be made once this vaccine is actually found. Many American companies are known to be at the forefront, including companies like Gilead and others, which are at the forefront of researching this vaccine. And therefore, these intelligence agencies coming out with information saying China is attempting to steal this proprietary, priceless information at a crucial time, comes as a huge development as far as the Trump administration is concerned. And remember, Gaurav, this comes just a day after the US Senate is expected to actually empower President Trump to take extreme measures against China,
yes,
including and possibly economic sanctions. So this kind of ammunition that China is trying to steal priceless proprietary information regarding research for a vaccine would in many ways escalate things even further and possibly empower and create grounds for action against China.
Shiv, does this go beyond rhetoric? One, US wants, at least they're considering sanctions against China. There are many lives that have been lost in the United States of America due to COVID-19. US accuses China and the World Health Organization of not coming clean on the spread of coronavirus. But is there evidence on ground to suggest that there is cyber espionage involved in the United States, where China is trying to steal the vaccine or research that goes into the making of the vaccine, Shiv?
Gaurav, that's a very good question. First of all, it's not just many lives in the United States. The maximum number of lives in this pandemic have been lost in the United States, which is already a shocking aspect. Trump and his administration have made no bones about explicitly blaming China at every level for this, and they found an echo in many democracies around the world, including in our own. The specific question on whether these cyber attacks whether there is information to suggest that these cyber attacks are actually happening. Let's remember, Gaurav, that cyber attacks from China have happened long before the pandemic. Cyber espionage, corporate espionage, proprietary information, and intellectual property espionage has been happening courtesy China for a very, very long time. China has a legacy of stealing information and reverse engineering Western products, in their country for a very, very long time. So there is no reason to disbelieve that cyber attacks of this kind, where there are huge windfall profits to be potentially made, could be emerging from China. In fact, experts I spoke to just before I came onto your show, Gaurav, say that China is not only possibly aiming these cyber attacks at the United States, but possibly other countries as well. And you know which those countries are, Gaurav, which are at the forefront of vaccine research.
Oh, absolutely, Shiv. Absolutely, Shiv. And this is practically the world uniting against China, whether it's Australia, India, United States of America, England, France, to an extent Russia. Several countries want China to come clean on the spread of COVID-19. The World Health Organization is also in the doghouse and needs to come clean all this. Shiv, for the moment, many thanks for joining me. The big story that we're tracking here on India Today also remains a tense standoff at the line of actual control. Remember, it started off in North Sikkim, in Nakula. Now it spread to the Ladakh line of actual control between India and China, and some reports seem to indicate that Chinese troops, of course, they came up to their perception of the line of actual control, our troops up to our perception of the line of actual control, and the numbers are building up on both sides. Though the drills are being followed, India Today spoke exclusively to Chief of the Army Staff, General Naravane, and he's keeping a very close watch on developments both in the east and in the north. India Today's Manjeet Singh Negi spoke to General Naravane. Let's listen in.
है नॉर्दर्न बॉर्डर्स के बारे में पिछले एक हफ्ते में कई रिपोर्टें आई हैं कि पीएलए और हमारे बीच में कुछ फेस ऑफ हुए हैं, कर्मिश जैसे चीज़ें हुए हैं। तो मैं इसके बारे में ये कहना चाहूँगा कि जो एलएसी है हमारे और चाइना के बीच, कई जगहों पर इस पर अलग अलग परसेप्शन है कि ये कहाँ से गुज़रती है, और इसीलिए हम अपने एरिया तक पेट्रोलिंग करते हैं, वो भी अपने एरिया तक आते हैं। और ये इसलिए ये कई बार हो जाता है कि एक ही टाइम एक ही जगह दोनों तरफ के दोनों पेट्रोलिंग पार्टियां पहुंच जाते हैं, और जब ऐसे होता है तो अक्सर ये फेस ऑफ हो जाता है। ये फेस ऑफ कोई नई चीज़ नहीं है, ये पहले भी होते हुए हैं, और इससे निपटने के लिए हमारे प्रोटोकॉल पहले से हैं। वो अगर उस पेट्रोल के लेवल पर ये मामला सुलझा नहीं जा सकता तो फिर डेलीगेशन लेवल मीटिंग होते हैं, हाईएस्ट मिलिट्री लेवल कमांडर मीटिंग होते हैं, और उस वक्त आपस में बातचीत करके एक दूसरे के पॉइंट को समझते हुए फिर दोनों साइड डिसएंगेज हो जाते हैं और मामला सुलझ जाता है। तो ये जो फेस ऑफ हुए हैं एक ही समय नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न लद्दाख में, नदन बॉर्डर, नदन कमांड में और सिक्किम के एरिया में, ये सिर्फ चांस की बात है कि ये इकट्ठा हो गए। इससे हमने ज़्यादा इसमें कोई ये नहीं देखना है कि ये इसके पीछे कोई प्लान है या ऐसे कुछ है। ये just by chance हो गया कि दोनों चीजें।
The timing, of course, is very curious. So the Chief of the Army Staff, General Naravane, is saying that it's a coincidence that it's happened both in Sikkim and in Ladakh. But some reports seem to indicate that the build-up on the Chinese side continues, and even on the Indian side, troops are holding fort and staring the dragon down. I want to bring in India Today's Manjeet Singh Negi for more on the story. Manjeet, what more can you tell us about the current situation on ground? You spoke to the Army Chief. You've also been speaking to your sources in the Army headquarters.
Well, Gaurav, Army Chief General Naravane told me that line of actual control isn't it very well defined. When patrols of both sides reach same place at the same time, then such face-off do occur. It's just matter of chance that the face-off in eastern Ladakh and Sikkim happened during the same period. These face-off have no connection with any domestic and international situation prevailing today. These have been happening in the past, and it has happened again now. We will deal with it as per the protocol between the both countries.
Okay. I also want to bring in Lieutenant General B.S. Jaswal, former Army Commander, Northern Command, joining me on the broadcast. He's someone who studied China very closely. Remember, he was the Army Commander, Northern Command, who refused to travel to China on a stapled visa when he was Army Commander. General Jaswal, your appreciation of the situation on ground, especially the fact that this standoff, the jostling and the face-off happened not just in Sikkim but also in Ladakh. Is this a coincidence, or is China using this as diversionary tactics either internally or sending some other message to India?
I would say what the chief has said is it's a coincidence, all right. But one should be very, very clear that these activities of transgression by both sides, they are normal. We have a perception of the line and they have a perception of the line. And we have certain drills, like the chief said, the face-off, flag drill, etc. And besides that, we have CBMs which are in place. There are special representatives who keep meeting. And then there are certain hotlines on which we, close down whatever tension is going on. So this is very normal. About 250 to 270 transgressions take place in Ladakh alone. And well, we also do transgress and we go up to our claim line. So it's not that the Chinese are doing it. Getting physical, it is a phenomena which has been continuing. There was a case way back, I think, in early 2000, when in Yangtze area, I'm talking about Yangtze, where they surrounded our troops and they were jeering at them, trying to evoke a response, trying to throw stones, etc. But that apart, 2017 was, of course, the 73 days standoff, which had taken place in Dolam, latter for that matter. I would say that so long, not a single shot is fired after 67, we should not take it too seriously, because the special representatives meet which is there, that is resolving the issue.
Yes.
The boundary question, we have been always raising it, but I will use
in fact, beyond the special representatives, General, Prime Minister Narendra Modi traveled to Wuhan post the Dolam incident, or Doklam as China calls it, and then the Chinese President Xi Jinping came to Mahabalipuram, and there was this strategic directive given from the two heads of state and government to the respective armies to maintain peace and calm and tranquility along the line of actual control. But is that actually being maintained, especially when it comes to jostling at the line of control, fisticuffs at the line of actual control? India Today's Abhishek Bhalla reports on the transgressions that took place at the line of actual control. In fact, in Ladakh, when the Chinese helicopters came up to their perception of the line of actual control or thereabouts, the Indian Air Force scrambled Su-30 MKIs, of course, which we are now being told was a part of a regular exercise in these skies.
Under pressure during the COVID-19 pandemic, an anxious China has embarked on a series of provocations on the Indian border. After the recent flare-up in North Sikkim and eastern Ladakh between Indian and Chinese troops, the focus is on 23 disputed and sensitive spots across the line of actual control that are considered vulnerable. There is an eyeball-to-eyeball situation in some places in Ladakh, North and East Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh that remain extremely vulnerable and could be flashpoints in the near future.
Reportedly of late, the transgressions and face-offs along the India-China border or the line of actual control has increased. There are a few reasons for it. One is that with the onset of summers, the snows are melted. These are all altitude areas. Average height is about 4,800 meters and more. So we find that the patrolling activities do increase.
While troops withdrew, tensions remain, and there are reports of a troop build-up not far away from the face-off point near the Pangong Lake in eastern Ladakh. The Indian Army in a statement says, Incidents of face-off and aggressive behavior occur on the line of actual control. Patrols disengage after local-level interaction and dialogue. Sources say local commanders from both sides are talking regularly to ensure there is no further escalation and tensions can be diffused.
As you see China, I don't see China will stop here, because China has got a very deep tradition of trying to keep a situation alive. And from that point of view, I don't see it going down. And summers have started. One side you have Pakistan with terrorism coming inside. You will have these small skirmishes on the LAC also this summers. And it's better that we are prepared for it.
Prior to the recent escalations, there have been other minor face-offs in different sectors, but the matters have been resolved with existing mechanisms. The question now is, will altercations at the border escalate into something worse?
There are currently more than 20 disputed areas at the line of actual control. But with troop movement increasing because of better road connectivity, there is a chance of more face-offs, and these flashpoints could also increase in time to come. With camera person Pradeep Gupta, Abhishek Bhalla in New Delhi for India Today.
There is a change in the mindset when it comes to our troops at the line of actual control. That 62 mindset is gone, and that India proved after the 2017 standoff at Doklam when India stared the dragon down. We've had peace and tranquility along the line of actual control. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Xi Jinping, they've had strategic dialogue both at Wuhan and at Mahabalipuram. But is this something that's a decision that was taken at the level of local commanders on the Chinese side? Is there a bigger message that China is sending out, especially because it's happening not just at Sikkim in the east, but also Ladakh in the north? Is there a bigger design? Is China testing India's resolve once again, especially during COVID times?
A single virus has changed the world completely. Every country impacted and fighting. And yet, over the weekend gone by, there was a sobering reminder of how some things never change. Two high-altitude border brawls provoked by Chinese troops are the latest in a string of tensions and friction between India and China during the COVID-19 pandemic. As things heat up, especially in Ladakh, let's revisit the top tangles between the two Asian giants. Frictions kicked off in mid-April when the Modi government reviewed its foreign direct investment policy to curb opportunistic takeovers or acquisitions of Indian companies due to the current COVID-19 pandemic, as a direct response to Chinese moves in India's financial sector. A few days after the FDI decision, the Indian government is reported to have sent out feelers to more than 1,000 US companies looking to lure them away from operating in China and instead setting up base in India. The reports have raised temperatures. In a stinging move in April, India's ICMR confirmed that China supplied rapid test kits for unreliable junk and advised states to stop using them immediately. China tried to troubleshoot diplomatically, but the damage was done. In a development that is certain to have perturbed and angered China, India today revealed in April that India's national security setup had started an internal assessment of the origin of the novel coronavirus and had not ruled out the very real possibility that the virus had escaped from a Chinese laboratory in Wuhan. Tensions took a dramatic twist this month when troops from both sides brawled at the high-altitude border areas of North Sikkim and eastern Ladakh. The brawl in Ladakh especially is now known to be part of a larger continuing standoff between units of both armies, lending a military complexion to the COVID-19 friction. Raising military temperatures higher, Chinese army helicopters recently flew dangerously close to the border in Ladakh, sparking an alert and Air Force Su-30 jets being made aware of the possible airspace violation. And in the latest move, after moving to block predatory Chinese companies with FDI caps, the Indian government is also reportedly planning barriers against Chinese portfolio investments to stop Chinese investors from picking up large amounts of shares in Indian companies. As India and China notch up the COVID-driven frictions, the US Senate is looking to empower President Trump to impose massive sanctions on China if it fails to fall in line and cooperate with the rest of the world. The question now is, will China actually fall in line? Bureau Report, India Today.
Jal Jaswal, when you look at China's actions, is China trying to bully countries in the neighborhood, either coercive diplomacy or in case of India, trying to get its troops to take some aggressive maneuvers at the line of actual control, especially the numbers of troops that are building up, whether it's in Sikkim or in eastern Ladakh?
Well, I would say that all the actions which are there, physical actions on the border, we cannot be complacent about the same. Notwithstanding that, we should also accept the fact that these kind of face-offs will continue, because whereas China wants a peaceful economic growth, its territorial ambitions will continue to be there. As such, it claim lines, it will start showing a sign of creeping assertiveness in these areas to claim. So, but our mechanism for resolving the issue as of now is absolutely in place. We need not worry much about it, but we cannot be complacent about the same. Now, as far as the timing is concerned with COVID, etc., I don't give much to it. This is a regular feature.
Okay.
And now let me tell you, there are various areas. Ladakh is one. You have what they call Shipkila Pass, etc. in central portion. Then you have so many areas in Arunachal. There are disputed areas. So and also sensitive areas which are there. And it starts off right from, if you go further east from Madan Ridge, Kibitu area, that onwards we go left into Fishtail 1, Fishtail 2, then we come on further left. The entire scan which is there in Arunachal, for that matter, they do keep coming in. And we do have Tulungla, we have Yangtze, we have Bumla, there's all these areas in Arunachal.
So what you're saying is they keep coming in, we shouldn't be perturbed, but we should remain alert at the line of actual control. Of course, what sources in Army headquarters are telling us that India, our troops also go up to our perception of the line of actual control, which China, of course, within their country, domestically, they see this as transgression in their records. So that's the situation on ground, where, as General Jaswal was pointing out, not a single bullet has been fired in anger at the line of actual control since 1967. I once again want to focus on what's happening at the LAC in northern Sikkim. Remember, Doklam happened in 2017. It's been by and large peaceful after that, but this time it happened in Nakula. A large number of Chinese troops came in and there was jostling with the Indian troops. 4 of ours and 7 of theirs were injured. Again, in Ladakh, their troops came in and their helicopters tried to come in, and our fighters went out with some maneuvers to send them a message that we are also here. As far as military balance is concerned, from what sources in Army headquarters tell India today, nobody is looking at a skirmish, but India is not the India of 1962 anymore.
As India fights COVID-19, as the world praises India's gargantuan war on the virus, the coronavirus's homeland is busy escalating tensions with India. Over the weekend, we told you about how violent troop brawls had broken out between Chinese and Indian army troops in 2 locations, North Sikkim and Ladakh. Well, India today has now learnt that the provocation wasn't just on the ground. In a dangerous twist, top sources confirm that Indian Su-30 jets on combat patrol in Jammu and Kashmir airspace were alerted after Chinese military helicopters were spotted flying provocatively close to the line of actual control in eastern Ladakh. The jets did not engage the inbound helicopters, but were made aware. The military helicopters were detected both visually as well as by Indian mobile ground radars. The pair of Indian Su-30s that had taken off from Srinagar earlier on a scheduled air patrol were alerted to the possible impending airspace violation. The inbound helicopters turned and held position on the Chinese side of the border.
Bullets are not fired in the India-China confrontations at the line of actual control, but mind games play an extremely important role. And that's the reason why India has made it very clear that it's not going to get bogged down by any kind of intimidation. Any kind of aggression has always been responded with in the same manner, be it on the ground and now in the air.
With a border that isn't cleanly demarcated, inadvertent airspace violations have happened in the past. But the Indian military isn't ruling out the possibility of a deliberate provocation by China. The context of the China-provoked troop brawls, sources say, confirms China is in the mood for diversionary mind games and muscle flexing.
चीन की फितरत समझना जरूरी है क्योंकि चीन इस तरह के उकसाने वाले एक्शन करता ही आया है। इस वक्त तो शायद क्योंकि पूरे विश्व का ध्यान चीन की तरफ कोरोना के कारण है, तो एक तो ये भी रीजन हो सकता है कि चीन वहां से ध्यान हटाकर और ध्यान इस तरफ लाना चाहता हो।
While India and China have a protocol mechanism to sort out border friction like the troop brawls and airspace violations, the current global situation in which China is under increasing pressure from the world is forcing India to take no chances. Bureau Report, India Today.
Well, diversionary tactics or not, the Indian armed forces are well prepared at the line of actual control and in the Indian Ocean region. That is all I have for you on this special broadcast. Many thanks for watching. News and updates continue on India Today. Preeti Chaudhary comes up next. Stay with us.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.